The Tour de France has just kicked off, and if you're watching it going, gosh, I wish I looked like them.
Then we're here to help.
Not that we've ever ridden the Tour. Anyway, coming up are our top tips on how to look as good as the Tour de France pros.
Let's start by picking some pro-looking kit. Go for a jersey that fits well, and I mean super tight. Okay, mine is a little bit too tight, but give me a break. I did retire just over 12 months ago. Aerodynamics is everything in the pursuit of speed, and having a tight-fitting jersey will increase your aerodynamics and reduce your chances of getting dropped.
And the pros, yeah, they don't want to get dropped.
I would say, though, the only time to ride with a flappy jersey is when you're climbing in the heat of the summer. Deploy the poker face, unzip your jersey, and get your jersey flapping to keep the crowd clapping.
Get the jersey flapping. The entire crowd is clapping.
And one final thing to consider when it comes to your jersey is your sleeve length. Sleeves these days should come down nearly as far as your elbow. Remember, material is faster than skin, so therefore you will not only look like a pro, you'll also be going faster like a pro as well. Now we're on to shorts. Back in the day, and certainly when I started cycling, the fashion was to wear short shorts, almost like hot pants. But these days, it's gone the other way entirely. If you want to fit in the Tour de France, you now need to wear your shorts down to just above the knee. With the right shorts, that actually aids aerodynamics.
Socks have also played a key part in cycling fashion. From shorts, socks like that, to socks up to the calf, sock length is ever-changing at the Tour de France.
And these days, we're into the era of the aero sock, a material designed specifically to make you faster. Okay, I'm not actually wearing any here, but you'll have seen them in races. They are so long that you could probably put a pair of football shin guards underneath them.
I guess that's probably true. I guess the fashion here is less and less skin and more lycra. Could we see kind of lycra skin suits, full-length skin suits in the near future?
No, luckily not, because the UCI is there to preserve the traditional image of the world of cycle sport. So they created the sock height rule.
I guess the key point here is no ankle socks. We don't want to look like triathletes, do we?
Harsh.
I mean, unless you've got yourself a Tour de France win and a knighthood, like Bradley Wiggins.
He did look good there, didn't he? And another way to look good is to accessorise your fashion statement with a pair of brightly coloured socks. I mean, personally, I go for those.
These are my favourite, mate. Go with the Tour de France. Look at that.
Seems to be a new trend, doesn't it?
Choosing a pair of cycling shoes is a really difficult choice. I mean, pros have them always looking box fresh. And to be honest, there's only one colour to go for.
White. It has to be white. Unless you've got a simply stunning pair of custom jobbies like Chavez, then you can be excused. The only other colour choice is white.
You're not going to look $1 million. You're going to spend $1 million every time you ride in the wet with those.
Well, I don't ride in the wet, but you could always clean them.
Clean them? I've never seen you clean your shoes. Now, this one could be quite controversial, but you're not going to see a Tour de France pro turn up with hairy legs.
You say that, but in 2016, Peter Sagan, the now three-time world champ, famously showed up with hairy legs.
Okay, unless you're Peter Sagan, which, well, most of us aren't, then having shaved legs is an absolute must. I mean, they make your calves show up just like Chris's there, and if you add some embrocation, they just look amazing.
Thank you. But don't be fooled, pros don't just do this for the looks. Have you ever had a massage with hairy legs? If you have, then you'll know that the tugging on those hairs can be really quite painful, not just for you, but also for the soigneurs. So shaving your legs is mutually beneficial, making it a more enjoyable and pleasurable experience for the both of you.
And plastering up onto hairy legs after you've crashed isn't a pleasant experience, trust me. I've tried it
several times. And then finally, our colleague Dr. Bridgewood would try and inform you that it's for aerodynamics, but this simply is not true, so don't believe it.
Yeah, don't believe him for a second.
And then to top off your look, you could consider a helmet that matches your variety of clothing perfectly. And remember, it's all very well having all the kit, but knowing how to wear it properly is what actually counts. So pop your glasses on with the arms outside of the straps at all times. If nothing else, it will eliminate a little bit of wind noise.
Now, getting a pair of sports-specific sunglasses is an absolute must. None less casual glasses helmet combo. Outside of your straps, and you're there, looking like a pro.
A quintessential activity of pro life is, of course, the cafe stop, whether pre-Tour de France stage or out on a recovery ride, you need to look perfectly turned out at all times. That means hiding that helmet hair. And there is one item of clothing designed specifically for this, and that's the Casket. But be warned, it comes with a rule book. Do not pull it down on your head. It's not a baseball cap. It needs to be worn with a little luft, referring to a pocket of air maintained within the cap, on top of your bouffant. Hank seems to have mastered it quite well, actually.
What do you make of that, mate?
It's not bad for a first try.
Some people look better than others wearing the Casket.
Steady. Firstly, getting a bike that fits. You're never going to look pro, no matter how hard you try, if your bike simply isn't the right size for you.
Yeah, I mean, the pros don't ride bikes that are too big or too small, do they?
Well, the extreme case scenario of crashing and borrowing a teammate's bike, I mean, we've both done that over the years.
But that's an exception. If you want to look like a Tour de France pro, then slamming your stem is definitely something you're going to want to do. I mean, look at the difference it makes. And the pros do this so they can get in a really nice, low aerodynamic position, meaning they can go faster for the same speed. And ultimately, that is more pro.
I've only got one problem with that, and that's technically your stem isn't slammed. So another way you could go about this would be to get a really long stem instead. Personally, I always preferred having a longer stem as it gave me a better position for sprinting. I found it...
That ain't a long stem.
No, that's why I'm hiding it with my hand. I also found it better for control on the bike, and I enjoyed the comfort that it gave me. Pros will often opt for a smaller frame and a longer, lower position at the front. And whilst we are not great examples of this, Adam Blythe always is an immaculately turned out pro with a really slam position.
And finally, a bit of custom bling. Pros love customizing their socks, shoes, helmets, or even their pride and joys. It could be as small as a top cap or even as big as an entire bike. I've gone for a custom paint job on my Orbea Orca Aero, and I just love it. Now put these tips into practice, and before you know it, you'll look just like the pros you see on the TV.
It might take you a little longer to get the same fitness though.
Yeah, but at least you're halfway there.
If you enjoyed this video, do give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, click down there to subscribe to the channel.
And for more how-to videos, why don't you click over there for some more tour content? I'll be clicking on that one, I reckon. Right, should we go to the top?
Yeah.